In today's video, I'm going to show you how to add a cable detail to your neckline when knitting a garment sideways. Here are two of the garments that I knitted sideways. One was more of an experiment, which actually I'm not sure if it ended up so nice. And the other one is a cable yoke cardigan, which you might have seen on my Instagram. If you like this cardigan and wish to knit one for yourself, you can now purchase the pattern on my Patreon. These are some of the garments that people knitted when I hosted the masterclass with the machine knit community in July. The pattern comes as always with videos. There are a total of 50 minutes of content where I show the process step by step on how to knit it, and hopefully that will help you read the pattern much easier. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description down below if you'd like to try it for yourself. I'm going to give you a little example on how you can plan a neckline like this for yourself. Here is a little sketch and a little plan of a potential neckline. So as always with any project, you have to calculate your gauge first. And my gauge here, let's say, is 2.9 stitches and 3.6 rows per 1 centimeter. So this is my rough sketch of the neckline. You can see that I want the cable to go right there at the edge, and I'm going to knit this way. So here we have rows and here we have stitches. I would like my neckline to be 8 centimeters deep and 14 centimeters wide. Usually when knitting a garment sideways, you have to join it in the middle. You can either make a cardigan and have here a rib, let's say, or you can join it at the front by grafting stitches, for example. So you will need to usually knit 2 panels that are mirrored. Here is how we can apply our gauge. So I know that these are rows and these are stitches, and I can just use my gauge and do simple calculation like these. I can calculate 14 centimeters times 3.6 rows equals 50.4. So I know that my neckline is 50 centimeters wide. The total number of stitches that I need to decrease, again, very easy to calculate. 8 centimeters times 2.9 stitches equals 23.2, and I just left here 23 stitches to decrease. I usually like to set my row counter to 0 every time I begin a neckline, and here are all the rows where I'll be doing a decrease. Row 0, 1, 2, 3, and so forth until row 34. From there, I'm just going to knit straight rows until row 50 when I finish my neckline. I really hope this gives you an idea on how you can apply your gauge and plan your neckline. So I'm going to show you how to knit this, and hopefully you would be able to plan one for yourself. I already knitted a few rows, so let's imagine that we knitted the straight section right here, and now we are ready to begin shaping the neckline. I'm going to set my row counter to 0. I have 3 extra stitches at the edge. You can decide for yourself how many stitches you want to have here, depending on what kind of neckline you want to add, if you want to add a rib or if you want to leave the edge raw like this. Also, I have a ladder on either side of the cable. You don't have to do that, but this could add just a little extra detail and also will help you see the cable a little bit easier. For this example, I'm going to be doing cables every 10 rows, and I know that I've knitted 10 rows after I've done this cable, so I have to begin with a new cable right here. But first, let's do our first decrease. I personally like when the fastening is visible, so I'm going to use a 3-prong tool to transfer. We will have to transfer quite a few stitches, as we of course have to move the cable as well. So I know that I have to decrease every 1 row from row 0 all the way to row 10. I'm going to grab the 3 stitches to the right of this ladder, and I'm going to transfer them all together 1 stitch to the right. All I have to do now is to transfer all the remaining stitches 1 stitch to the right. So here's where I've done my decrease. You can see that this needle received a 2nd stitch. I'm making sure that the ladder stays there where it was before. And now we have 1 less stitch. So this is how we do our first decrease. Like I said before, I know that I've done a cable 10 rows ago, so I have to do a new cable. I'm going to use 2 3-prong tools. And here I've been doing a left cross cable, which means I'm going to cross to the left first. I'm going to pull the needles all the way out and knit one row. And like I said before, I have to decrease every one row until row 10. So we don't have to do any more cables. All we have to do is decreases. And all the decreases are done the same way. I'm going to grab the 3 stitches to the right side of the ladder, transfer them all together, 1 stitch to the right, and all the remaining stitches will follow. After the cable, it can feel a little bit tight, but you shouldn't have any issues. Again, I will knit one more row and continue decreasing. I'm now on row 10. I will do one more decrease, and from here I'm going to decrease every 2 rows. And of course, we must not forget, it's been 10 rows since we crossed this cable here, so now we have to cross another cable. Another important thing to mention here is that you should always transfer first and then do your cables, just because it will be quite difficult to transfer these stitches after you've crossed them. So this is just a little tip. And now I'm going to knit 2 rows. And again, taking another peek at our notes, we can see that we have to continue decreasing every 2 rows until row 34. You can already see how the fashioning goes. I'm now on row 34. I finished with all my decreases, so I can continue with straight rows. I forgot to do my cable on row 40, but that's fine because this is just a demonstration. Let's say we finish now. I knitted all the way up to row 46, and I'm going to knit some rows in waste yarn. Another important thing that I wanted to mention here, in case you actually want to use this for a jumper, is that you might need to plan the cables a bit differently. Let's say we want to grab the stitches right in the center on the front. So in order to have a total of 10 rows in between the last 2 cables, you might want to knit 5 rows for one and 4 for the other one. The reason why we don't have a total of 10 is because when you are grafting stitches, you are actually creating 1 extra row. So these are just a couple of things to keep in mind, but I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspired you and you will give it a try. Thank you so much for watching. And again, if you wish to make your cable yoke cardigan, I will leave a link in the description down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye!